Number 1. Good evening and welcome to Intervlog, the platform where Africa speaks, the world listens, and truth finds its balance between light and shadow. Tonight, we turn our attention to Tanzania, a nation known for its peace, stability, and unity, now shaken by one of its darkest moments in recent history: the aftermath of the 2025 general elections. Over the past week, the country has been engulfed in waves of protests, grief, and uncertainty. What began as a celebration of democracy has turned into a national mourning, with hundreds feared dead, streets barricaded, and the sound of sirens replacing the songs of hope. According to multiple reports from opposition parties and international observers, hundreds of Tanzanians have lost their lives following 3 days of protests that erupted after Wednesday's general elections. The main opposition party, Chadema, claims that around 700 people have been killed in confrontations with security forces. Independent diplomatic sources speaking to the BBC estimate that at least 500 deaths may have occurred, while the United Nations says it has credible reports of at least 10 confirmed, though the true toll may be far higher. But verifying these numbers is nearly impossible. Tanzania is currently under an internet blackout, and most hospitals have reportedly refused to release information about casualties. A medical source in Dar es Salaam told the BBC that morgues are full and hospitals are overwhelmed. This is not a normal election aftermath. It is a human tragedy unfolding in silence. Authorities have extended a nationwide curfew in an attempt to quell unrest. Government officials have described isolated incidents and denied accusations of excessive force. Foreign Minister Mahmoud Kambo Thabit told the BBC and Al Jazeera that no excessive force has been used and that the government has no official figures on. He added that vandalism and destruction of property, including attacks on government offices and electricity facilities, had forced security forces to act decisively. But on the streets, a different story is told, one of young protesters, mostly from urban centers like Dar es Salaam, Mwanza, and Arusha, taking to the streets demanding electoral justice. They accuse the ruling party, Chama cha Mapinduzi, CCM, of undermining democracy by barring major opposition figures and restricting political space in the run-up to the vote. In French, there's a saying, "La nuit cache les larmes." It means the night hides the tears. And in Tanzania today, many tears are being hidden by the darkness, not just literal, but digital. With the internet shut down, voices of pain are muted, journalists cannot verify, families cannot communicate. The night, indeed, hides the tears. Opposition figures have spoken of nighttime raids and seek. John Kitoka, Chadema's Director of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, told the BBC's NewsHour program, "Are carried out during night hours, when no one is there to witness them. They are tracking down all our leaders. Some have fled the country. These people with impunity." These are heavy words, but in the absence of free media, every word becomes both an accusation and a plea for truth. To understand Tanzania's turmoil, one must look at the election itself. The 2025 general election was meant to strengthen democracy, but it instead exposed its fragility. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Tanzania's first female leader who rose to power in 2021 after the death of John Magufuli, sought re-election under the CCM, the party that has ruled since independence in 1961. Two major opposition leaders were prevented from running. Tundu Lissu, held on treason charges, which he denies. Luhaga Mpina, the candidate for ACT Wazalendo, excluded on legal technicalities. 16 smaller parties, none with significant support, were allowed to participate, creating an election many Tanzanians saw as a one-sided contest. In Zanzibar, the semi-autonomous archipelago, the incumbent CCM candidate Hussein Mwinyi reportedly won with nearly 80% of the vote. Opposition groups there called it massive fraud. When the results began to be announced, anger erupted. Protesters accused the government of stifling democracy, harassing journalists and intimidating civil society. The United Nations and several foreign governments, including the UK, Canada, and Norway, urged Tanzania to exercise restraint and respect freedom of expression. But the calls have so far gone unanswered. Another French proverb says, "Quand le silence parle plus fort que les mots." It means, when silence speaks louder than words. Number 2, and in Tanzania, silence has become deafening. With the internet down, even the whispers of protest vanish before they can echo. Foreign media struggle to report. Human rights groups cannot verify. The silence itself becomes the message, one of uncertainty, fear, and control. The ripple effects of Tanzania's unrest are now crossing borders. Kenyan businesses have been disrupted, especially at the Taveta/Holili one-stop border post, where operations were halted due to Tanzania's internet blackout. Customs systems collapsed, cargo movement froze, and traders were stranded for hours. Tanzanian authorities also banned boda riders, motorcycle taxi operators, from crossing borders with goods or passengers, further straining livelihoods on both sides. Air travel has not been spared either. The Dubai-based Emirates airline has canceled all flights to and from Dar es Salaam. In its official statement, Emirates cited civil unrest and apologized to customers, announcing that routes between Dubai and Dar es Salaam, flights EK725 and EK726, are suspended until further notice. The airline said it continues to monitor the situation closely. Meanwhile, FlyDubai's service to Zanzibar remains operational, a small sign that at least one part of the country is still accessible. But for thousands of travelers stranded in airports and for families separated by curfews, the world seems to have shrunk overnight. In Dar es Salaam, Tanzania's bustling commercial capital of 7 million people, residents describe a tense atmosphere. Streets once filled with vendors and music now echo with the sound of military trucks and sirens. Curfew patrols sweep through neighborhoods like Mbagala, Gongo Lamboto, and Kiluvya, where protesters had defied warnings and faced tear gas and gunfire. Some protesters have set vehicles ablaze, others have clashed with police, and in some districts, petrol stations and police posts were reportedly attacked. The government has postponed the reopening of colleges and universities, fearing that students could reignite the unrest. The Army Chief, Jacob John Makunda, has vowed that the military will work with other agencies to contain the situation. But the question remains, at what cost? The United Nations Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, has called for an independent investigation into allegations of excessive force. In Geneva, UN human rights spokesperson Saif Magango said credible sources had reported at least 10 confirmed deaths, urging Tanzanian security forces to refrain from using unnecessary or disproportionate force. He added, "Every effort must be made to de-escalate tensions." Human Rights Watch and other global watchdogs have long warned of shrinking civic space in Tanzania. Since 2019, over 200 disappearances have been recorded, with recent months seeing abductions, harassment, and torture of activists and journalists. Nomathamsanka Masiko Mpaka, a Human Rights Watch researcher, had warned months before the elections. The authorities need to stop muzzling dissenting voices and the media, and instead engage in meaningful reforms to ensure free, fair, and credible elections. Those warnings, it seems, went unheeded. In French, we say, "le feu qui couve sous la cendre." It means the fire that smolders under the ashes. Tanzania, for decades seen as one of Africa's most stable democracies, now faces the risk of that hidden fire. The fire of disillusionment, of silence turning into rage, of democracy reduced to a word on paper. The current crisis mirrors deeper continental concerns. In Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and other African states, where elections have become flashpoints rather than milestones. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, once celebrated as a reformer, is now at the center of this storm. When she assumed power in 2021, her leadership was hailed for opening political space and encouraging dialogue. But over time, critics say that repression has returned, with opposition members jailed, rallies banned, and media constrained. Her government insists it is maintaining law and order. Opponents argue it is stifling dissent. And so, Tanzania stands at a crossroads between order and openness, between control and conscience. On the ground, life is far from normal. Shops close early. Night travel is restricted. Families are afraid to leave their homes. The streets of Dar es Salaam are patrolled by armed soldiers. Even small gatherings can be dispersed within minutes. Another French proverb says, "Quand le silence parle plus fort que les mots." It means, when silence speaks louder than words. The curfew, extended indefinitely, is both a symbol and a sentence. A symbol of authorities' power and a sentence upon the nation's freedom of movement. Beyond the human toll, the economic impact is mounting. Trade routes are blocked, flights canceled, tourism paralyzed. Zanzibar, a world-renowned island destination, has seen tourists stranded at airports, unable to leave or connect flights. Kenyan importers complain of goods stuck at the border. Local markets in northern Tanzania report shortages. Small traders say they are losing daily income, and truck drivers are sleeping by the roadside, unable to cross checkpoints. The cost of instability is being paid not by the politicians, but by the people. As another French saying goes, "Le tambour ne bat pas pour lui-même." It means the drum does not beat for itself. When you hear the drum of protest, it's not just noise, it's a message. The young men and women on the streets of Dar es Salaam are not marching for chaos, but for voice. They seek fairness, inclusion, dignity, the very essence of democracy. But when those drums are met with bullets, societies begin to lose their rhythm. Tanzania's crisis comes at a time when East Africa faces multiple challenges, from regional instability to youth unemployment, and from digital censorship to economic inequality. Neighboring countries are watching closely. Kenya fears trade disruption. Uganda and Rwanda are tightening their borders. And the East African community, once a model for regional integration, now faces questions about governance, democracy, and human rights. If the fire of discontent spreads, it could reshape the region's political landscape for years to come. Perhaps the greatest casualty in all of this is trust. Trust between citizens and the state, trust between government and the governed, trust between Tanzania and the world. In democracy, trust is the invisible glue that binds a nation together. Once it breaks, rebuilding it takes generations. But there is still hope. As another French parable reminds us, l'espoir est plus fort que la peur. It means hope is stronger than fear. Even in silence, Tanzanians are speaking through resilience. Even in darkness, they believe in dawn. The international community, regional bodies, and human rights defenders must continue to call for dialogue, accountability, and reform, not as outsiders imposing will, but as partners preserving the shared dream of a peaceful, democratic Africa. Here on Intervlog, we believe in truth without tension and facts without fear. Our mission is not to judge, but to illuminate, to give space to stories that might otherwise vanish in censorship and chaos. We stand with journalism that restores balance, because democracy at its core depends not only on votes, but on voices. As Tanzania waits for official results, as curfews deepen, and as families grieve, one truth remains. Freedom is fragile, but the human spirit is not. In the words of a Tanzanian proverb, ukweli haupotei, hata ukifukiwa na majivu. Truth never dies, even when buried under ashes. And so, the story of Tanzania is not just one of pain, but of perseverance, a reminder that democracy is not a destination, but a continuous journey. Presenter. From Intervlog, we will continue to monitor the situation and bring you updates as verified information becomes available. Our thoughts are with the people of Tanzania, the mothers who wait, the youths who march, and the nation that still believes in its tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay safe, and as we always say at Intervlog, information is not power, it is responsibility. This is the end of our program today. See you on Intervlog, same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you for watching Intervlog. Thank you.